Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to PCM22 Career Mode episode 122. We are at the Tour de France. It's the penultimate stage. It's stage 20, and we are finally seeing something decent come out of the blocks here. Bach and Coetzee combined for a -9 race day condition, which made it rather difficult to judge if their effort was sufficient or not. Bach and Coetzee, with those terrible numbers, ran out of energy a lot faster than another rider would. So far, gauging where we're at with three riders coming out, almost back to back, is going to be a little bit tricky. But as we have these three on the road, Taraskin coming on soon, we'll kind of check in with a little variation, a 73, a 72, a 74. Bach, I came out with, I think, a 74, and he was nowhere near making it. Coetzee, I ended up setting to a 71, and he had plenty of energy left by the time he hit the Planche de la Fille, which is the final climb on this one. And the Planche de la Fille is it's a major climb. It's 5.5K at roughly 9%. Taraskin has already headed out. He's on a +1. I think we'll try a 73 there. So far, Miskowskis is making it. He was fourth place, just 12 seconds down at the first time check. So going hard out of the blocks does not seem to be kind of necessarily the best way to go. I think you need to save it a bit for the climb. So I think conserving some energy through that, at least through that first sector, is going to be really important. But Miskowskis, you can see how you get a little descent here. It's hard to judge with three totally different sectors exactly how much energy you need, but we're in good shape for Miskowskis compared to Bogley. He's got a +2, which is giving him a 79.76, and you can see that now his steady 73 that we've set. You can see Bogley is now pushing on harder and faster than what he was doing before. We'll try a 74 here. Karaman comes to that same checkpoint. He was 10th place, just a minute down. By the way, we are 6th, 42 seconds down with Miskowskis there. And Karaman, I think we can now push about a 75. Azumi coming up on the same check. He was first after the first time check. He's got a +5, which is fantastic. First to the second time check. And I think we can also push a 75 for him. Taraskin, a little bit further to go. Morgado is already out there. He's got a +2. So he's looking decent today as well. That should be a pretty decent time that we can put together. Miskowskis comes out 600 meters short. So his steady 74 all the way to the end almost made it. But he's still 3.5 minutes behind. Karaman, 1K to go. Is going to have to back off here. Zumi's going to have to back off here and can't quite go that hard. So we'll try a 74 here for Taraskin. Karaman crossed the line just a moment ago, and he had just a hint of red bar left, so we made that work. 350 down for him. There's big gaps here. Azumi runs out right at the finish line. Much better. 13th minute, 46. That's a good time. Morgado is 20th, 34 seconds down at the first time check. Taraskin was a minute and a half down at the second check, 14th overall, 2.5K to go. Now we'll bump this up to a 75. I think we've gone 74 long enough that should just about see it. Well, no, maybe not. 1.6K to go, back down to that 74. Inside 1K, Taraskin running out of energy. Van Hemlen is coming on fast. Final push. And Taraskin 4:02 down. Definitely not as good as the others around him. But Morgado into that later section. He'll have that second time check soon. Of course, he sits 5th overall. I think that'll be a good point to check in on these other guys, and we can start pushing harder, especially before you start climbing. Take a little more momentum into it. I think he can handle a 75. He's got that extra left. Minute 21 down is all. And he's not a very good time trialist, but he's a pretty decent climber. Only the +1 on it today, 80 mountain. But I think he's going to put in a good time here and not lose much ground. Similar to what Azumi was able to do at a minute 46 down. I'd hope that we are within 2 minutes at the finish line. 2K to go. I think our pace is good. We were holding 20th. I think we can climb a little bit higher than that, but oh my goodness, here comes Johannesson flying on by. 1K to go. It's definitely time to push harder though, as we do have that little bit left in the tank. 400 meters. Attacking for the line. 313 down. Oof. Way below where I thought we were going to be on that one. Not great from Morgado, but these other guys had +3s, +5s. He's on the fitness peak. He should not have had just a +1 today, and that really hurt his time. You can see Bernal goes third quickest at just 14 seconds down. We, in a time trial, take a huge hit, an absolutely massive hit, when it comes to your attributes compared to theirs, and it makes it really, really hard. I could have gotten probably 5 seconds more out of Morgado, maybe 10, if I had pushed a little harder consistently through the climb, instead of having that little bit left in the tank to push the last 200 meters. Yes, you gain 10 seconds there, but ultimately we would have lost a little bit more, maybe even 10 to 15 seconds overall difference. But we're not talking about minutes or anything like that. We almost extracted the maximum out of Morgado there, but with just a +1, that's what you get. So without a +3, +4, +5 to his overall race day condition, without a +2 or 3 on that mountain, without a +5 to that time trial, without a huge boost to that stamina, he's just going to be very average, and that ended up being very average. And so Morgado falls to 7th place, 1 second behind Enric Mas, and Enric Mas ended up just outside of the top 20 for the stage. That is at worst where we should have been, but Morgado did not have the race day condition. Without that bonus, there's not really much of a difference between being 6th and being 7th. There's top 5, and then there's top 10. And really, there's not much going on between those. So we come up 1 second short, which of course then goes back to that previous stage where I was focused on the KOM for that stage, which we secured, and that was fantastic. But then of course there was that other factor of trying to also manage Morgado, and I didn't manage that perfectly well. We easily lost 2 seconds and then some through the course of that over what we could have had. So, but again, there's not much of a difference between 6th and 7th. I was hoping for a top 5. We come up full minute short, and more than anything else that we did in that entire tour, it really just came down to that stage right there and not having a solid race day condition. Johannesson blew past us and into 3rd place. We slipped back and struggled with a guy who just didn't have the bonuses to match their bonuses and went backwards. Like I said, at best we're getting 10 seconds more out of him than we did, which, okay, fine, that would have made 6th place, but perfection is hard to get. Very good on a regular basis, no problem. But very good on a regular basis with an average team isn't gonna place you terribly high. I knew that Pogačar and Bernal were miles ahead of everybody else. The hint of a chance at a podium versus all these other guys was only just about there. I mean, outside of Almeida, a minute behind us, we're talking about a 5-minute advantage to Vingegaard. We're talking about 3 minutes to the podium. So how many times has that happened in this series that we have been this close to going many positions up and this close to virtually anyone behind us? That's happened frequently. But this isn't Krantz. It's Antonio Morgado. It's his first Grand Tour in a substantial position. He's only 23 years of age. He's a 79 mountain. We're surrounded by guys that were 82, 81 mountain base +4s. He's a 76 stamina. He's a 78 recovery. He's a good rider. He's a very good rider. But when it comes to the Grand Tours, when it comes to the Tour de France, he's not elite. And I have recognized in the comments a lot of criticism coming in this series lately. But then I started to do the math, and I was able to finally just kind of brush it aside, because the amount of comments versus the amount of viewership that's out there, it's 1%. So I know there's more than 1% that might share those feelings, but it's really just 1%. And I do recognize that actually the majority of you do understand this situation that we are facing here. I'm not Benji, and I'm not starting with a team that is leaps and bounds better than any team that we have here, and playing with 0 handicaps. I play with handicaps. I make the game challenging on purpose, because for those of you who have watched the channel for numerous years, when I played on hard difficulty, we won 90% of our races. Sprints, climbs, punches, classics, it didn't matter. We were winning frequently. Even in a bad season, we were winning 75% of our races. We were number 1 in the rankings the moment we made World Tour. Going to the hardest difficulty, that win rate dropped a lot. Adding those +4s to everybody else, that win rate dropped a lot. It was certainly not 75 to 90%. But it was still very, very, very frequent. It was still 33 to 50%, depending on the strength of the team in a given season. We were still winning very frequently, because even with those added challenges of the difficulty setting to its maximum, the game was still on the easier side for me. It's adding the challenges on top of that, the financial constraints to sign good riders, like this series, 1 rider per nation, and having to ignore a whole lot of quality out there. But that financial constraint is a major issue, a major factor. We are in year 6, and the budget that I have right now, that's the budget of somebody else's budget in their first season. We're 6 seasons in, and we've only just reached that point. That is a very limiting factor. Our best riders, Krantz as a perfect example, our one and only tour winner up to this point. He should have won this tour here. He would have been one of those 3 guys, Pogačar, Bernal, and Krantz, competing for this tour. Krantz crashed out in, I don't know, what was that, stage 3? Very early on. But Morgado is not Krantz. Morgado isn't even our first option right now. Morgado, over these seasons that we've been at World Tour level, or at least competing in Grand Tours, Morgado is probably only the 5th to 6th strongest guy that I've had at them. Maybe even worse. And that's what I've had. That's not, looking at your Pogačars and Bernals who have, 81 mountains at 81 plus stamina, and the hills rating to go with it, and the flat rating to go with it, and the time trial rating to go with it. There is no weaknesses in those guys, and they all have those +4s. Now, the only reason why I ever even started mentioning those +4s was because of those comments. That I finally got into my head. It's only 1%. It's only 1%. It's not like the majority of you are out there criticizing on a regular basis, which, by the way, that gets in here, folks. It does. It doesn't take much to put down someone to make them feel not good about themselves. I almost rage quit this game because of those comments until I realized that it was such a small percentage. And they keep coming. We win the KOM, and I still get those comments. We get a top 10 with a guy who was never in the top 10 list at all out here. He was not a top 10 contender. And yet we still get the top 10, but it's clear how things are going to end up going, or how they regularly go. So I know that the majority of you are supportive or just enjoy and watch along. I don't think very many of you would have made it 122 episodes into this series if you hated everything that I did. So I do get that. And let's continue on. We still have another Grand Tour this year. We still have the remainder of the season to get through. I am disappointed that Morgado was not able to hang on to a top 5. If he had a +5 today, I think we easily have more than a minute difference. Do we beat Garcia, though? Tough to say. If you remember, after the last stage, we had a lot of guys really close behind us, and it wasn't looking too good to go a positive direction. So I knew he was at risk. Really disappointed about that 1 second. If we can, I would love to go grab an intermediate sprint with Morgado and get back above Moss, because we've been better than him the entire race. He's never been ahead of us at any point. And Morgado to be beat by Moss, who's only a 74 time trial, but in an 85 mountain on that last stage at the very minimum, plus whatever race day condition bonus he had, which, by the way, I've been watching the movie Star documentary finally here of late, and watching his performance and how disgruntled that team has been with one another. I'm right at the end of the second season, the 2020 Vuelta at this point is where I'm at in that series. But anyway, okay. I'd love to grab that 1 to 2 seconds and jump back ahead of Moss, but otherwise, that's it. We've got the Champs-Élysées. That's all that's left. Coming in early here at the Champs-Élysées, and we have a 3-man breakaway, and I've got 2 of them, including Morgado, who is riding at this point because I want those seconds. We are just 50 seconds ahead of the Peloton. They are not letting us get away. We're having to ride rather hard. Matteo Jorgensen is the rider with us from Movistar. I've got Bach here to lead out Morgado to try to get whatever seconds that he can, which all we need is him to not finish 3rd, in which case Bach just needs to lead out Morgado and make sure that Morgado finishes ahead of him. Main key, though, being that we don't get caught by the Peloton, who are still now a minute 10 behind as we enter the area here for this one, and just 5K to go. So Bach, lead out Morgado. Morgado, just follow. You're almost out of energy. All I have to do is make sure that Bach, I mean, it'd be nice to beat Jorgensen, but the main thing here is for Morgado, who can't even attack. So and we're down to 50 seconds. So Bach, just don't pass your teammate. And they're coming in on me, by the way, so we got to be careful here. 700 meters, 600 meters. So sprint it out, Morgado. And he crosses the line, grabs 3 seconds. He grabs 3 seconds. Oh, there's no time bonus here. There's no apparent time bonus here. Morgado, I'm going to let him drop back or just sit on. Jorgensen tries to attack the last second. We're back in the Peloton here. All right. And let's protect our leader so he can recover. New breakaway forming. That looked like that should have gained us seconds, but no apparent seconds are given except for at the finish line. But why is it that throughout the entire rest of the race, why would today be the one and only day? Because it's the final stage? Well, I guess we'll see at the end. It looks like there was no time gained. And of course, we are not much of a sprint team. Bach does have a 76 though. And Morgado, ever so slightly is a sprinter. And Terraskin, ever so slightly, is a sprinter. And Croman, let's go get some water here. We'll try. But it's not looking like we're going to be very competitive for this Champs-Élysées. But there's always a chance that we could win this final stage. Especially getting a little break very, very late on. The little break that we have right now, only 40 seconds ahead. Morgado still not fully recovered, but Bach helping him get there. He's nearly there finally with 40k to go. That's the pace that we've been at, really. But now he is there and ready, and that breakaway will be caught rather quickly. In fact, it looks like they're just about going to be brought in here in the next little bit, and we're down to about a lap and a quarter to go. That's your chance right there. That sudden, steep incline to come out from underneath. That's your key. Be nice if the finish line was properly marked here, but that's okay. 18k. Let's start with this. Hold that position, don't drift back. Onto the straight. 15k. Alright, let's do it. Getting us started. Got all this space out here, so everyone should get in line here relatively quickly. 13k to go. Already in a good strong position here, so we don't need to go crazy for the next little bit, but could say without the red bar, but we're far enough ahead that we'll let him continue on until this next group kind of gets up here. 11k. Now we will start to put the foot down again here with Azumi. 10k. Alright, I think it's time to start going flat out. 9k. Get these gels going. So this, for us, is not going to be a regular sprint. Your best chance is to get the separation here in just a little bit, and that's going to be with a attempted sprint. And these guys inside 6k following and trying to get separation, which we have not managed to get. But as Karaman closes him down, we'll continue on here. 4.5k. On to Terraskin, 3.5k out, but we're kind of already into that full sprint scenario and probably well short of where it is we need to be. We're in a great position coming out of the final turn, but we don't have enough sprint left and don't have enough of a lead out here in Bach. Well, here comes all the proper sprinters quickly overtaking us, and he didn't have any, red bar left to push on. Philipsen made it work. Pedersen is going to get second. Van Aert. Do we even get in the top 10? No. We could have squeezed a top 10 if we would have gone normal style, but obviously there's no chance of winning going for the normal sprint. I was hoping to get separation. We've seen it happen. I've won this stage before with that. You get a little separation there, and then 3-4 riders go flat out while everybody else is sorting out. You want to chase them? No, we're waiting for the sprint. You want to chase them? Nah, we're going to wait for the sprint too. And then all of a sudden, that gap is just enough to stay ahead. Without sprinters, that was our only chance. They didn't let us get a gap on them. They held us in place. So quite clearly, towards the end there, we just didn't have enough left for the sprint itself, which, even if we had plenty left for the sprint, once again, with a single guy at a 76, there is literally no chance whatsoever of doing anything more than getting 8th place. So we went for whatever strategy could turn into a victory, but only if a certain scenario plays out, and that certain scenario just didn't play out for us. So we finished where we finished. No harm. Hangs on for 16th for the stage anyway. And yeah, no bonus seconds for Morgado, even though those intermediate sprints after intermediate sprint all race long had them. But I suppose that's the day where everybody's having the champagne and positions shouldn't change. So okay, fine. Okay, fine. We tried. Pogacar wins the Tour de France. We've heard that one before. Bernal Johannesson. Surprise Johannesson on the podium, especially with only the 79 mount. But of course, that still comes out to 83 for him. Our 79 is just a 79. He was in good shape throughout this tour. Nolte, Garcia, Mas, Morgado, Almeida, Vingegaard, and Gregoire. 14 minutes down to 10th place. 17, almost 18 minutes to 11th. We were well ahead of that point. In the points, Arnaud Delay takes it by just 5 over Penho. Neither one of them finishing at the top. Philipsen, the stage winner, closes right on in on Koish, but Koish was way behind those top two. But the KOM, we have managed to claim that victory with Morgado. My initial was I expect a top 10. I was hoping for a top 5. We were in position well enough throughout that race that I was definitely hoping to hang on to that top 5, but ultimately we did get our top 10. The KOM was something I wanted, and we did manage to beat Quinn Simmons too. You can see Quinn Simmons in those last couple of stages had gone too long, too hard, too many breakaways, and fell apart. Taraskin was never dominant in those climbs, but we were smart, conservative, saved energy, and just grab points. And on a couple key ones, some Allscat, we picked up big points. And those were the ones where we went deep and pushed and sacrificed Taraskin's long term, where Simmons just climb after climb after climb, pushed and suffered. Taraskin, we played the long game and succeeded at winning with him, which was awesome. We got the KOM victory. We also do win the under 25s by quite some margin. Gregoire in 10th overall was second in the under 25s, more than 5 minutes down. Richitello was more than 10 minutes down. Taraskin also in the top 5. Azumi, Karaman, and Miskauskis all in the top 10. So I got 5 riders in the top 10 category of the under 25s. So we very much dominated that, and we won the team classification, which of course should, because in real life it's certainly more recognized than it is here in the game. It'd be nice if they gave better recognition to that one in the game in the future. Base goals, we achieved them all in this tour. Beyond base goals, we got one of the 2 that we were looking to full on win that KOM and to get that top 5. Just short, not by much, but short. So if I were to evaluate this tour, I'd say B+. It was pretty good. We didn't commit to every single stage. We didn't play all of it. We did what we needed to do. We got through it a lot faster than some of the other tours, and we still performed relatively well with a rather minor leader who really shouldn't have been performing better than he did. I mean, he's performed as well as you could ever expect him to perform on paper, and actually quite a bit better. Him being in the top 10 period. That's like Guillaume Martin finishing in 7th place. That's a very good tour for Guillaume Martin. That is going to do it for this episode, though. We'll check in on where we're at with the standings following that one, but we are, I think, still looking quite good in this department. In the individual, Morgado moves up into the top 10. Peters still in the top 10. And then in the World Continental and Super Prestige, Morgado now 6th. Peters is 11th. As a team, we are 1st. So we are an average team in the World Tour, yet we have managed to still be 1st overall. When it comes to the super prestige, though, Ineos does slot in ahead of us, but second place is pretty dang good for a team that really, we've lost our best rider 3 years in a row. We lost multiple top 5 riders from our team, especially this last year. So we're not as strong as we were a year ago. I'm optimistic for the future, but for where we're at right now, I think we're having a hell of a season. That's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.